Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning into GavsWeatherVids Sunday Roundup for May 2024. So here we go again. It's time to bring you another Sunday Roundup. It's going to be your regular, well, once a month, eclectic mix of this and that. Looking at things like solar activity, sea surface temperature, anomalies. Going to have a lot on end. So with this one, Cubio, AO, Aereo, etc., etc., etc. Sit back, relax, enjoy. And I should talk you through the Sunday Roundup for May 2024. In a moment. Just to say that first, video sales are 6 AM UK weather forecast, and we've also released the night summer update as well. That, of course, is an April data special. So check out those two vids if you'd like to. But we're not live streaming at 6 PM. We're having the evening off, having a dinner, having some dinner with friends, if that's all right with everybody. So I've got the night off tonight. Sunday live stream will return next week. Right, okay, let's have a look then at solar activity first of all. So this is how the solar disk is looking on our side of this day from solarham.net. Plenty of sunspot regions, but a very large area just here, and another one just here, taking solar activity up to high levels today. And Solarham reporting that solar activity is expected to be at moderate levels during the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Sunday Roundup Solar Activity Tracker, named through by Schreier, our good friend Schreier Brim. Thanks for Schreier for sending mystery. So the orange line, orange spots depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. And look what happened during April. We had a massive spike up in activity, going higher than we have been at any point during solar cycle 2595 in terms of daily sunspot numbers. And Shrine tells me this spike was actually the most active, highest spike that we've had since 2002. That is back in solar cycle 23, I think. Real big ramp up in sunspot, daily sunspot activity from a relatively low level back around the turn of the month, from March towards April, really ramped things up and eclipsing the spike in activity, daily activity that we had back in June. So that was the previous highest daily spike that we had back in June to July, I think, and as I say, we've eclipsed that with the most recent daily activity. The trend lines have a thick green and thick blue lines. They are the 30-day and 60-day average lines, respectively, have risen up as well. Maybe not by quite as much as you would have expected. But then again, earlier on in April, we did have relatively low daily sunspot numbers. So that's the reason that, yes, the trend lines have responded a little bit, but haven't risen up perhaps quite as much as you might have thought they would have done, given the big spike in activity that we have there. Now, this is how the monthly progression is looking for solar cycle 25 compared to solar cycle 24 and solar cycle 23 as well. So April's monthly number is just here. So despite having the most active daily sunspot number since 2002, the April sunspot numbers overall are actually a little bit under the peak that we had last summer in June and July, just there. And I say the reason for that is that early April was very quiet with the sunspot numbers, and then all of a sudden we had a really, really massive ramp up. But we can see that this is a more active solar cycle than solar cycle 24. The last solar cycle just here, these the blue line, blue spots. So yes, we can see we are having a more active solar cycle for solar cycle 25 than we did for solar cycle 24, but a less active solar cycle than solar cycle 23, which of course is just here. So we're going to be somewhere between solar cycles 24 and solar cycle 23 for solar cycle 25, but I think we're going to be relatively close to solar cycle 24, just a little bit more active. This will still be at the weaker end of the range of solar cycles, just about, I think, but more active than was expected and more active than was anticipated. This has been sent. Make sure it's a shrine for our trackers. It's been sent through by Richard. This is showing Spotless days and the current Spotless stretch. And who am I? Who is that? Oh, am I being rickrolled? Are you being rickrolled? Maybe. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Amazing. I don't know, do you? Right, well, let's have a look then. Thanks so much, Rich, turned me into Rick Astley, into Michael Myers, into Spider-Man. And there's Big GavsWeatherVids GIF, of course. Thank you so much, Rich. Right, so, Spotless days. So, for 2024 so far, I've had 0 days. Every day so far this year has had sunspots, as you expect, given we are pretty much at solar maximum. So cycle, I want to talk about, in 2023, all days had 0 sunspots as well. 2022 had just 1 day without sunspots. I have to go back to 2021 for the last year when we had like quite a few days without sunspots, 64%. And then of course we get to solar minimum years of 2019, which had 208 days and 281 days without sunspots respectively. Our comparable year from solar cycle 24 is 2013. That also had 0 days without sunspots. So every day in 2013 had sunspots. 2014, interestingly, which was actually big solar maximum year, had 1 day without a sunspot, which was very strange. And 2015 had 0 days without sunspots. It was until 2016 that we got 32 days that didn't have any sunspots. So that will be 2027 when we can start expecting to begin to see the sun going to sleep as we move towards solar minimum. Thank you so much to Shryan and to Richard for the solar data. Right, let's move on then. Have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies. So what are we doing? Right, so this is how the oceans were looking when we did last month's Sunday Roundup as of the 5th of April. We've got our 4 interest areas, of course. We've got the ENSO region just here. We've got the Indian Ocean over there. We've got the Northern and Northeastern Pacific over here, and then of course we've got the North Atlantic over there. Right, so that is how things were looking when we did last month's Sunday Roundup. This is the latest. Dealing with the ENSO region, first of all, a little bit of cooling has taken place through the sort of central part of the central to eastern part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Seeing the sea surface temperature is cooling down there. Although toward the Peruvian coast, interestingly, where you would, if you're going to have a La Nina, you expect this area to be going cold first of all, and we don't really see a lot over there, do we? It's more through the sort of central to eastern region, and in central to western areas actually still relatively warm with sea surface temperature anomalies. It's certainly not a classic La Nina signature by any means. More about that a little bit later on, but we are continuing to move out of El Nino anyway. The cold period signature continues in the North Pacific, so these cold and average sea surface temperature through here, but the cold PDO signature that continues. And how does that compare to last month? Actually, that's strengthened a little bit. The cold PDO signature has strengthened a little bit in the past month. Over in the Indian Ocean, very little change there, really. Most areas still looking generally on the warmer than average side. And coming back to the North Atlantic, and I know a lot of people are going to be quite interested in what's going on with sea surface temperature anomalies in the North Atlantic during May, of course, because there's a certain video that will be coming up in June or July that I'm not going to talk about right now, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you do, everyone. Anyway, so this is how the sea surface temperature anomalies looking in April in the North Atlantic. This is the latest. No, that looks quite interesting, doesn't it? We've certainly got significantly warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies continuing through the tropical and subtropical Atlantic. Of course, we released a hurricane season forecast. For the first time ever, we have done a forecast for the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, and we're going for a hyperactive hurricane season this year, partly based on those warmer than average sea surface temperatures in the tropical and subtropical Atlantic. But it's not warm everywhere, so if we come just over here, more towards the eastern seaboard of America, there we see that it is actually cooler. Though it's cooling down, it has cooled through this region over the past month from last month. Still as warm as it was last month through the tropical and subtropical Atlantic. And then what's going on to the south of Greenland, where it looks like things have warmed up there a little bit as well. What do we think? I think it's definitely been warming to the south of Greenland through here. So it's warm through there, it's cool through there, and it's warm through there as we get to the beginning of May. Freeway band. Is that a tripole? I'm saying nothing, but as I said, there's a certain video that will be coming up in a few weeks' time that will be looking very, very closely at these Atlantic sea surface temperatures. It'll be absolutely classic tripole, though. We want to see this colder area shifting a bit further north to around here. So, be an absolutely perfect tripole. Yes, this area being cool is alright, but also we want this area to cool down as well around Newfoundland and whatnot, and then still to be warming through here, and of course we know it's going to be warm as it has been for several months too bad. If we get that, then that's more of a classic tripole type signature. But a lot to keep an eye on in terms of Atlantic sea surface temperatures, and I should say no more than that. But again, just say our hurricane season forecast is going for a hyperactive season based on these warmer than average sea surface temperature lines combined with a developing La Nina. You haven't seen the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season forecast from GavsWeatherVids, please check it out. You can find it on the GavsWeatherVids YouTube homepage. Didn't get that many views, so I'm not sure if I'll do another one. If there's not any interest in it, then there's not a lot of point in spending time, going over data and whatnot. So, we'll see, but we'll see how the forecast goes as well, of course, if it's successful or not. But anyway, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out if you'd like to do that. Right, so this is how the 7-day change is looking. So, generally warming in most parts of the North Atlantic, particularly in the north, but also through here. A little bit of cooling has taken place through there. In the Pacific, again, not clear-cut switch to La Nina, is it? A bit of cooling has taken place through there, but as I say, towards the Peruvian coast, things have actually warmed up. I think still warming a little bit through the western portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean as well. Generally, warming has taken place in the northern and northeastern Pacific, but over past 7 days, but it still is a negative PDO signature, and much of the Indian Ocean is warming as well. So how things are looking in terms of subsurface temperature anomalies at depth underneath the equatorial Pacific Ocean. So with this is from the CPC, NCEP and NOAA PDF for ENSO. And for this, you have to think that we've got Indonesia over... No, we haven't. What we're talking about, we have got Peru. Wrong ocean, Gav. No, we've got Peru over here. Well, not the wrong ocean, is it? But wrong side. We've got Peru over there, and Indonesia is actually over here. So on the western side of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. I was off school when they were teaching geography. See, that's the trouble. Anyway, no, we've got Peru over there in the eastern area, Indonesia in the western region, and this is like the surface of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Put your teeth in, Gav, and we've got colder than average subsurface temperature down here, and quite significantly so, actually. So this is where we've just broken those colder average subsurface temperature onto the surface, just there, and you see. So if we go back to the chart there, you can see that in this region, although the surface is quite warm, right on the surface, that shallower waters are impacted by weather conditions. Actually, just underneath the surface, though, there is quite a body of colder than average subsurface temperature anomalies. So it looks as though the equatorial Pacific Ocean is shifting towards La Nina. It's just taking its time to do so, but at depth it looks like La Nina is on the way. So back to the sea surface temperature anomaly. I just want to bring you up to date with how things are looking at this point in various other years, where we was flipping from El Nino to La Nina event. We go back to 1985 with the archive from NOAA here. So again, that's how the ENSO setup is as of the 3rd of May. Let's have a look at some other years that were flipping from El Nino to La Nina, something we did in last month's Sunday Roundup. So at this point in 1988, I mean, we was well and truly into already a very strong La Nina event, actually. So check that out. That's how well advanced the situation was in terms of La Nina at this point in 1988. Of course, it's important to see how quickly we're moving into La Nina, because we think that can have an effect on the on European and Western European and North Atlantic weather conditions in the summer, because you get a very rapid flipping to La Nina. That's often associated with cooler, wetter summers, and that would include 1988 very much so, which was one of the coldest and wettest Julys of the 20th century. So already a very, very advanced La Nina signature by the 3rd of May 1988. That's 1995, so nowhere near as advanced with the La Nina signature, but definitely there, particularly in the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. And what happened in 1995 is that, although it started off as quite a rapid switch into La Nina, but La Nina kind of stalled through most of the summer. It wasn't really until the autumn, actually, that the La Nina started getting itself together. So, yes, but we do see a La Nina signature there at this point in 1995. That's a very hot summer, of course, with that stalling La Nina. 1998 is very interesting, because that did actually become quite a strong La Nina, but at this point we still have the super El Nino signature here in the central and eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, with western regions being the area that is cooling down. That's very unusual. So what happened from after a Super Nino of 97, 98 to go into that La Nina, was quite unusual, quite strange, really. And La Nina doesn't normally get going like that. Normally, La Nina will get going from the east out, rather than, so from the east out. That's normally the way La Nina will get going, rather than from the west in, if you see what I mean. So a little bit different at this point in 1998. That's 2007, when we got a pretty well advanced La Nina signature starting to get going, really turning quite cold with both sea surface temperature anomalies in the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. That coincides with the deluge summer, 2007. That's 2010. That might be one of the closest matches, certainly for the El Nino to La Nina year, because this did become, a proper La Nina event. No, I think out of the El Nino to La Nina years, that's probably the closest match that we've got in the archive since 1985. So still pretty warm here in the eastern portion. Started to cool a little bit through the central region. Still relatively warm in the western portion. Let's drag the current. Yeah, over to there. So yeah, I think out of what we get, that's probably just that close. So please let me know in the comments. So sorry, everybody. Please let me know in the comments which year you think we're close to. I think we're closest to 2010 currently in terms of the El Nino to La Nina flipping year, but there is one more year that we look pretty close to, and that's 2016. And this year, La Nina never really got going, I don't think. So the 2016, 2017, I think was like a ENSO neutral, a little bit on the cold side, baby. I think it's more or less ENSO neutral, and a failed La Nina after the Super Nino of 2015-16, and that might be a year, but we're looking quite close to as well. So there's a little bit of a question mark, I have to say, about this, about this La Nina. A little bit of a question mark, I think. So let's see how the CFS is looking. So, of course, we've got our dates in monthly periods along the bottom, and got our temperature on the side. Now, to get La Nina, we're going to go down to half a degree or more below average. And we've got to do that over 5 tri-monthly periods, by the way. So, CFS is still going for La Nina. It has backed off its ideas of a super La Nina a couple of months ago. It's going down here to record-breaking cold levels. It's backed off from that a lot. But you can see from the black dashed line, it is still predicting that things will go negative, and La Nina will develop through the summer and into the autumn. Taking a little bit longer to do so. So, month or two back, the black dash line doing something a little bit more like that. Now it's rather more curved, taking a rather slower route into La Nina. But certainly by July to August, it has us into La Nina threshold, into La Nina territory, going down to 1 degree or more below average. So I think we're going to go into La Nina. I think just taking a little bit longer to do so. But that does have impacts with GavsWeatherVids summer forecast, maybe, as it is not a rapid flip into La Nina. So those of you that were worrying that we might get a washout summer, we still might get a washout summer. But if we do, I don't think we'll be able to pin the blame for that on the transition from El Nino to La Nina, because it is not a quick, switch from Nino to Nina. Right, let's move on to the QBO. Quasi-biennial oscillation is looking like this. So remember, this is depicting the levels of the atmosphere. So we've got the top of the atmosphere and stratosphere at 10 HPA up here. They've got the boundary level of the atmosphere called the troposphere from 30 to 50 HPA down there. This blue area is the last easterly phase of the QBO, descending from the stratosphere and down into the troposphere. This is the westerly QBO phase that is coming, still currently more or less in the stratospheric level, but not all that far now from getting towards the tropospheric level. So the next westerly QBO phase is on the way. This is how the latest numbers from NOAA are looking in terms of the monthly QBO numbers. Come down to 2024. Still very negative for April, actually. So we have January 2024 coming out minus 24.56. February coming out at minus 25.54. March coming out minus 28.56. And April coming out at minus 23.42. So not quite as negative in April compared to March. It looks like March of 2024 will be the peak of this easterly QBO phase at minus 28.56. And we're beginning now to shift out of that. So still very negative in April. May will still be pretty negative as well. I would have thought June will probably be negative also, perhaps close to neutral around July. So July, August, September will be the first months that we begin to move into that westerly QBO phase, I think. Certainly by September, I would imagine that we will be back into the westerly phase of quasi-biennial oscillation. And the winter of 2024-25, by the way, will be a westerly QBO winter. Now, before I go on to the AO and NAO and wrap the video up, I've just remembered that I have not shown you the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index. So I'm going to pause the video and we will get the SOI up for you as well, as I know a few of you like to see that. There we go. So sorry, but it's been a crazy few days of updates here in the towers. I am ready to have a little bit of a break, I have to say, this Sunday evening and on Monday too. Right, so back to ENSO very briefly. SOI, Southern Oscillation Index, which is measuring air pressures between Darwin and Tahiti. This one coming from Queensland Government. By the way, part of Bureau of Meteorology, I think. We've got the column for Tahiti just here, got the column for Darwin just here, and then we've got the overall SOI data contribution just there. So we have had strong negativity of the SOI at times through April. So for example, we've got the 22nd of April coming out minus 16. We've got the 23rd of April coming out minus 14. We've got 24th of April coming out minus 15. 25th of April coming out minus 14. When the SOI is negative like that, the atmospheric setup will be reflecting El Nino. Now that's possibly one of the reasons why we haven't really seen a great deal in the way of cooling through the equatorial Pacific Ocean over the past month or so. Possibly it's due to the atmospheric setup fighting against what the ocean wants to do. The ocean wants to go towards La Nina, I think, as we see from a subsurface temperature and but the atmosphere is kind of putting a bit of a block on that at the moment. However, into May, we have seen some positive numbers, so that's an atmospheric setup but it's more reflective of La Nina. 1st of May comes out at +6. 3rd of May comes out at +3. 4th of May comes out at +3. They are relatively modest, but it might be a sign that the atmospheric setup is starting to shift a little bit more La Nina. So to get the La Nina going, we really need to see the atmosphere moving into a La Nina type setup that will help the ocean to go in the direction when it wants to. And as I say, I think that's towards La Nina due to those cold and average subsurface temperature anomalies. The overall SOI graph looks like that. The red line's a 30-day average. See, that starts off negative, but only slight negative at the beginning of April. Goes very negative, though, for a while, back down towards -7, -8 by the 25th of April. Is now starting to come back up again. So I think that explains a little bit, anyway, why the La Nina hasn't really got going over the past month. Right, and then finally, been good bits, hasn't it? If you enjoyed this Sunday Roundup, please, you like, share, subscribe, make sure everyone for doing that. Tell your friends and family about GavsWeatherVids and the work that we're doing here, pushing the boundaries and bringing you, you know, really out of the box, really experimental stuff that you don't get, you know, regularly on other channels. Right, so let's just have a look at the AO and the NEO, and then we'll wrap things up. So the Arctic oscillation is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, does not drive anything in its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. So the black line shows where we've been, with the AO, red line shows the airward GFS on Subsurface forecasting AO to go. When the AO is in a positive phase, we've got low pressure over the Arctic pole. When the AO is in a negative phase, they've got blocking over the Arctic and over the pole. We have been pretty negative with the AO into the beginning of May. The opening days of May is still actually quite negative with the Arctic oscillation. There has been blocking around. However, we see the AO shifting into a positive phase here, telling us that we're going to lose any sort of northern blocking signature and replace it with lower pressure. At the same time, the NEO is also on the move. Same idea. This black line shows where we've been with the NEO. Red lines up the air with GFS on sols, forecasting the NEO to go. At the moment, we are sort of neutral to weakly negative with the NEO, but the NEO is being forecast to shift into a more positive phase as we go through the first half of May. So with both of the indexes shifting positive, the AO and the NEO going into positive phase, that could be a signal for a strengthening of the Azores high, losing the northern blocking and potentially sending the jet stream north. So for anybody who's waiting for some drier and warmer weather, and who isn't, the indexes being on the move there could be a signal for some warmer and drier conditions, and the Azores high getting more involved in the weather pattern as we're going through the first half of May. We shall see. Right, well, that's it for the Sunday Roundup for May 2024. I think that's a pretty interesting one. Let me know what you think in the comments, everyone. And we'll do it all over again in June. I can say that we've only got 3 more Sunday Roundups to do now before we discard them. And we move into winter updates, because our winter updates that we do every week, you know, look at exactly the same thing. So these are like precursor videos, really, to the winter updates, just to keep everybody ticking along till we get to the beginning of September. And so we've only got like 3 more Sunday Roundups to do in June, July, and August, and then we will be moving into winter updates yet again for winter 2024-25. So I'm going to have some early nights, I think, before then. But yeah, we're going to do next Sunday Roundup on the first Sunday of June, and we shall see what's happening then. As I say, we're not live streaming, or having the evening off. Tomorrow we're going to have 6 AM at UK weather forecast. I think I'll be able to get that done. Hopefully. And we've also got the historic video coming up tomorrow, which is part 2 of our Back to the 60s series, looking at 1965 into 1966. It's an interesting watch. So if you're around the channel tomorrow, have a look at that. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.